so that the promise based on the faithfulness of Jesus Christ might be given to those who have faith. Before faith came, we were guarded under the law, until that faith that was coming would be revealed, so that the law became our custodian until Christ, so that we might be made righteous by faith. But now that faith has come, we are no longer under a custodian. We are all God's children through faith in Christ Jesus. All of you who were baptized into Christ have clothed yourself with Christ. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is neither male nor female. For you are all one in Christ Jesus. This is the word of the Lord.
Good morning. I'll be delivering a sermon this morning because our preacher, Darlene, is off at annual conference. Annual conference is where all the churches in our district come together and make big decisions about little problems. So she's required to be there, and I am thankful that she trusts me enough to stand up here in front of you. Now, I'd like to get everyone on this side of the room to stand up. Now look over at everyone on that side of the room. Now if I can get everybody on this side of the room to stand up, and look at everybody on that side of the room. Now do you know what the difference is between this side of the room and that side of the room?
Yeah.
These folks are going to exit that door. And these folks, well, they'll probably exit that door too. Everybody in the middle, so I don't leave you out. Stand up. And since we're all standing, how about we guys please deliver Christian love by greeting each other?
And that's his sermon. That's it. So it's 2016. What that means is, over 2,000 years ago, Christianity started out on its voyage. Now I know we all talk about walking in the footsteps, the walk to Emmaus, the walk, but I like to think of it as an ocean voyage. And it's probably because I was in the Navy, and I can't get away from that metaphor. But I like to think that 2,000 plus years ago, a boat set out from port by itself, heading out to sea. And in the last 2,000 years, a fleet has joined it. Hundreds of ships, all sailing in the same direction, following that one ship, that one boat, captained by God. There's a lot of boats. There's a Catholic boat. It's huge. It's pretty. It's got big sails and it's old. And it's well maintained. And there's an Orthodox boat somewhere over there. It's a little darker, a little more mysterious. There are boats of all sizes and shapes. There's fast boats, slow boats. There's boats that run deep and flat-bottom boats.
boats that are beautiful on the outside, but the inside's not so much. And there's boats that are luxurious on the inside, but the hull's rotting from the outside. Some of these boats carry millions. Some of them carry just a few. But one thing's for sure, every boat in the fleet, everyone thinks theirs is the best. Every boat in the fleet thinks that they have the most correct path, the best crew, the best position. Each one is claiming a direct line of sight to that original first ship. We can see it. We may have to climb a mast, but we can see it. Each one claims that they have a better understanding of where we're going and how we're getting there than the other. Now, if you want to pick out the Methodist ship among this throng of ships, it's easy. If you took a step back and looked at them all the way across, spreading out across a wide ocean, just look for the one that rocks. That'll be us. We have a history of it. Here's a little bit of it. Back in 1840, on the 10th, there was a general conference. Now, we just finished ours. General conference is where everybody in the world that's a Methodist, and by the way, we are a worldwide religion, all send delegates to one place, this year in Portland, and they spend 10 days trying to solve the problems of the Methodist Church. 10 days. In 1844, actually, they had the same conference. It was still 10 days. People from all over came to the conference for 10 days. And that 10 days lasted 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Now, it's not like today where if you go a little over, you can still get out to McDonald's. No. Think about it. 1840. They planned for a 10-day conference. They had food for a 10-day conference. And they stayed for more than double that, for 6 weeks. Now, the issue they were discussing at the time is slavery. And nobody would back down from their opinions. At the end of that 6 weeks, the church split into the south and the north. But even then, people continued to argue about it. Until in 1939, the church said, okay, fine, we'll just get back together. In 1786, in his sermon on visiting the sick, our founder, John Wesley, said this regarding the teaching of submissiveness to women. He said, it has long passed for a maxim that with many, that women are only to be seen, but not heard. And accordingly, many of them, women, are brought up in such a manner as if they were only designed for agreeable playthings. No, he says, it is the deepest unkindness. It is horrid cruelty. It is mere Turkish barbarity. And I know not how any woman of sense and spirit can submit to it. This is 1786, long before there was a women's movement or suffrage. In 1761, before we were even a nation, John Wesley defied the Church of England, which he was a member of, and appointed a woman as a minister, a circuit rider, to ride to each community and preach the word. In 1784, he removed the word obey from the wedding vows for Methodists. In 1866, Helena Alter Davidson, a woman, a
circuit rider for the Methodist Protestant Church in Jasper County, Indiana. Became the first ordained minister of any Methodist denomination. Now, we're not always on the right side of things. That's the truth. There's a book out that I would encourage you to thumb through at least. It's called When the Church Bell Rang Racist by a guy named Collins. And it's kind of a memoir. He was a preacher in the 1950s and 60s in the Alabama Conference. And what he says is that during the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s, the Methodist Church refused to hold a position. It says further that anyone who did show sympathy, especially among its ministers, were punished, threatened, transferred, intimidated, burned by his own congregation. I guess the point I'm making is that we as a church have a history of division, of not playing along, of standing outside the norm. And even with the embarrassment that was the church's stance on civil rights back in the 50s and 60s, it's important to note that there were those that would rather. But before I speak about that, I want to tell you what else. We as a church, as a denomination, passed a $600 million budget to tackle worldwide problems. $600 million. And that represents just 1/10 of what the overall church collects. That is our apportionment that goes to the overall church from you. We contributed to that $600 million. We were updated about our Imagine No Malaria campaign. Let me tell you, cases of malaria, death because of that disease or related problems was cut by half last year, and largely thanks to our efforts. We distributed 2 million nets. We celebrated 75 years of the United Methodist Committee on Relief. That's UMCOR. UMCOR distributed $6 million in food and supplies. And not to nameless, faceless folks that would take care of other people. They went to the places. They went where disaster fell. They went where there was hurricanes. They went where there were earthquakes. They went where people were starving, where war had ravaged the country, and distributed directly to the people in need $6 million in food in over 100 locations last year. That's our church. We approved a new online songbook, which doesn't sound like a huge deal, except now that it's going to be online, it means the availability and affordability of the songs for worship are there for every church, big or small. That means that a song director can log onto the internet and print out the songs for that Sunday, and they don't have to pay $50 each for the book sitting in front of them. That's what that means. They reviewed thousands of proposals, literally thousands of proposals. They have approved and ruled on hundreds of articles. And with all that, they still found time to fight. Now, this issue that I'm talking about has a lot of names. We like to talk around it. We say things like inclusion, reconciling. We even use the initials LGBTQI. And I have no intention of standing up here and taking sides. That's not why I'm here. I'm up here to acknowledge that we as a church are in disagreement about this issue. I'm up here to say, yup, it's an argument. Sure is. And I'm here to propose a new way forward. Now, not for the whole church. I'm only standing in front of you right now. But for us, for our community, for our family, I want to talk to you about how we move away from this issue. Truthfully, when John Wesley started out, he didn't start out to create a church. He was a member of the Church of England, and it was his purpose. He was sent over here to gather up groups in community and build churches in America for the Church of England. What he found along the way, he called a movement. And that movement he called Methodism. And that's what I'm proposing we do. We step away from the overall idea that we are a church. And remember that before we were church, we were a movement. Something entirely different. See, Methodism as a movement says that we get to disagree. In fact, it's encouraged. Methodism as a movement says that the only thing we need to have in common is the cross. That faith is enough. That calling ourselves Christian is enough to come together. And we prove that every day. I propose that we as a group cease to define ourselves as left and right, conservative or liberal, progressive or evangelical, or any other false binary. Statistically, 3% of our church exists to the far right, and 3% of our church exists to the far left. And that means that 94% of us sit somewhere in the middle. So I propose we stop defining ourselves by the false binaries. That we leave politics to the politicians. And we remove the language of us and them. I propose that instead of saying they want, we say we are. On this issue, we are divided. This is our problem. Not they have a problem. We have a problem. And we tackle it that way. See, I believe that cross, that Jesus is an honor. I believe that Jesus isn't up there looking to the left or the right. I believe Jesus is ascending to heaven. And he's looking down on the Christian body as a whole and going, I believe that cross is a bridge. So I'll make a deal with you. Instead of meeting me at the cross, how about we all meet on it? How about we become the bridge? How about, regardless of the opinions that we hold, we remember that when we stand together, we are holy. How about this? When all of our ramps are built, and all the kids have school supplies, when we make sure that all the kids in the area eat, how about when every child gets a Christmas? How about when we've sung all of our songs at Orchard Park and Legend Oaks? How about when we invite our competitors into prayer? How about when we have done our mission and loved the people and affected this community? Then we come together on a Wednesday night meal or an over 55 lunch? How about then we come together at a UMW meeting or a young adult meeting? And then we talk about our differences with respect. How about we remove the language that defines this argument and stop saying words like bigot, blasphemer, stop saying heresy, and we come to this discussion with love for each other. How about if you don't understand what this argument is about, you show up to a reconciling meeting and find out for yourself? No one's going to force you to change your opinions. No one's going to try to make you be something that you're not. We value our diversity. But show up and find out if there's even a piece of that you can believe in. Let us refute the world's definitions and assume a Christian spirit resides in each of us. How about we assume that we're all traveling in the same boat and that there are no agendas apart from God's greater glory? That we're all reaching for the same salvation and we are all humbled by His grace and forgiveness. Let us engage in Christian conversations and accept each other as we are, where we are, as our founders intended. Let us bring peace and not ubiquity. Let us bring calm in the midst of our division. And let us commit to loving one another. Now let us pray. Dear Lord, help us to see that we are more than the sum of our parts, that together we are powerful in your name. Let us remove the divisive spirit, even as we make room for our own diversity. Let us understand ourselves in our imperfection as seekers of light and truth, and let us continue to rock the boat and trust in your wisdom to maintain an even keel. Take us not as students of the law, but keepers of the living word, that we may continue to evolve under the Holy Spirit. And let us all welcome any who seek justice in your mercy, to find peace in our midst, even as we wrestle with our God. Amen.